Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's episode will just be looking at the top 10 items that I would choose for my pantry or for my long-term storage. But what I want to mention to you guys, firstly, you have to look at your scenario in the sense of, am I going to bug in or am I going to bug out? Bugging in means that we're going to gather items for long-term storage. Bugging out means that we're going to look at what items we're going to take with us. So then obviously you're going to be looking at weight distribution, and you're going to think about your load capacity. In other words, do you have a vehicle to take these items with you that is pretty capable, or do you only have your backpack and you guys will be running through fields? Okay, so not saying that anything is going to go wrong, but preparing can also be just being prepared for in these uncertain economic times that we are now. What could happen is, for instance, they can cut a percentage of the work staff at your company, and if this does happen, do you have the means to help out your family for another 3 months? So in no way is being prepared just for the zombie apocalypse, it's also for what if situations. Okay, so without further ado guys, let's look at my top 10 recommendations. But as I said previously, I would suggest that you guys obviously broaden it. This doesn't have to be a very expensive exercise. So with that said, there are options like MREs that you can buy, which are meal packs that were given to soldiers in the army, and there are also freeze-dried options, but they are expensive. So the items that I'm looking at is for your basic preppers, something that you can just add on a month-to-month basis, and then you can rotate it out. So when I also say rotate it out, you have to keep in mind, get things that you're going to eat. Don't get things that are just going to stand there and you're going to end up throwing them away. Okay, so let's look at these items, and then after that, what I'll show you guys is how I do plan to store if I'm going to store something for long term. Okay, let's get to it. Okay, first item guys is some beans and some lentils. So beans and lentils guys, you can probably store for anything around about 30 years if packed correctly, and the only thing that will actually happen to them is they will just take longer to boil soft. So lovely beans, the musical food. The more you eat, the more you do it. Okay guys, next item up is some rice and some pastas. So with rice and with pasta, what I have to tell you guys is not brown, not whole grain. So white rice, white pasta can last for up to 30 years if stored correctly. So this is also seen as a forever food. So with the brown rice or the brown pasta, what happens is they contain oils. So they will go off a lot quicker than these items will. But like I said, most of the items I suggest 30 years. You could probably go longer than that if stored correctly. But yeah, that will be up to you guys. Preferably rotate, get items that you're actually going to eat, because I love me some spaghetti. But yeah, get items you're actually going to use, and then just rotate them out to make sure that they are as fresh as possible. Okay guys, so we have sugar and we have honey. I put these two together. Obviously your honey can last for years and years, but make sure that you get raw honey. And then sugar guys, life will just be so dull without sugar, so why not sugar? Okay guys, so salt, as with sugar, should be kept dry in dark places if possible. Now your salt is not only a flavoring agent, it's also a form of preservation agent that you can use. So if you think about meats guys, like your biltong, overseas they call it jerky, whatever the case might be, there's a few ways that you could preserve your meat. So one would be through the smoking process, the other would be through the normal drying process, where you are definitely going to need salt and lots of it. So yes guys, in the olden days they used to say a man is worth his salt, because the Roman soldiers actually got paid in salt. So definitely a good commodity to have, and there is quite a few uses for your salt. Okay guys, so you can get your canned meat. You have various types of canned meat. Obviously, your canned food items won't be lasting that long, and it's not seen as a forever item. But I believe it can definitely go a bit longer than its shelf life. For me, I prefer this type of brand. I prefer corned meat. I know I'll eat it. I can make a nice breakfast with it, just some eggs, this, tomato, and mayo. So it's not that it's ever going to go and be spoiled. Is this ideal? No. But if you are really in a situation where you are ravenously hungry, you are not going to care what the quality of the meat is that you're going to eat. So keep a few on hand. Don't eat this on a daily basis. It's just not a good idea. But have it and then maybe make a breakfast with it now and then once a month. I'm sure it won't kill you. Okay, guys, so your canned fruits and vegetables. I would suggest having seeds. Seeds is ideal because then you can plant a garden and you can have fresh veggies. But in the meantime, you have to wait for that garden to actually grow. So for me, I do need veggies in my diet. I'm one of those people. I'm not blood type O who can basically survive off meat. So I need my veggies. This is why I would suggest having your mixed vegetables in cans and also have some fruits just to lighten up the mood, hey? Okay, guys, number 7 is vinegar. Because obviously, if you want to preserve some of your own fresh veggies that you do have, you're going to use vinegar, you can use sugar, and you can basically can them, and they will also last a very long time. So vinegar on my list, guys, is a must-have. Okay, guys, popcorn is another long-term storage item that I spoke about earlier. So you can also utilize one of the two methods that I'll be discussing at the end of the video, how to store these. Same with rice, your beans, and your pasta. So for long-term storage, guys, definitely some popcorn. It's not the most ideal or calorie-dense item that you can think about, but it can definitely lift the spirits if need be. Guys, some peanut butter, a calorie-dense option. So yes, this can even be seen as a survival food. Let's say, for instance, you have a get home bag. Throw a can of this in and it will definitely last you 2 or 3 days at the minimum. Okay, and it doesn't taste that bad. Item number 10 is lard. The reason why I would suggest that you need lard is in our tradition there's something that we usually do called potjie. Now, you can take your potjie with you, but if you can't store your potjie properly, for one, it's going to rust. So if you have lard, which will last longer than your normal oils that you can use, you can then basically seal the pot with lard instead of using your normal oil. And because lard lasts a bit longer, it's the ideal option. You can also cook with lard. Like I say, this is not on a daily basis, but on a survival situation, lard will be fine. As long as you get something to eat and you can cook with, and then this can also then basically preserve your cast iron implements that you might be using going camping or bugging out. Okay guys, that's it for my 10 items. As an add-in, what I would also like to add is coffee. So your instant coffee can also last for up to 30 years, which is brilliant. I love my coffee in the morning. So we have sugar as one of the items. We have our coffee right here. People say that you can also store dried milk. So basically milk powder. Not too sure of it, but I don't think I'll need it to survive. So coffee can just be one of those pick me up type of items. If you've had enough of pooping in the bush and wiping your butt with leaves, this can definitely brighten up a dark day. Lovely. Okay guys, thank you for sticking with me this long. So as I promised, storage options that I will talk about. So for your dried goods, for instance, your rice, your pastas, and your beans, what you can do is you can use this very fancy container that is super expensive. Not really. So you can repurpose your old cooling bottles, but you have to keep in mind that you have to basically sanitize them efficiently. And if you do this, please make sure that you cover the cap on the inside properly as well. So there's a few ways you can sanitize them with the boiling water, rinsing them out properly and making sure that they air dry nicely. You can also use a percentage of bleach in water solution, and this will also then kill all types of bacteria and sanitize the bottle itself. Now, with this bottle, what I would suggest is, if you have cleaned it properly now and you put whatever your dry item is inside this bottle, you're going to seal it as good as you can. And then also, if you want to, you can also add duct tape. It comes in the duct tape, right? You can also add some duct tape just to make it as airtight as possible. Now, with the storing methods, you can go one of two ways. So a lot of times what does happen, let's say for instance within your rice, there might be small bugs that actually are in the rice, but they don't show themselves because you never store rice for that long. Okay, now if you do pack away your popcorn or your beans or your rice, what I would suggest is that you either thaw it. So the thaw process that will actually make sure that there are no living organisms inside is you freeze this bottle with the contents for about 3 days. Okay, freeze it for 3 days, take it out, let it stand a day in room temperature, freeze it again for another 3 days and let it stand in room temperature again. You can do this once and actually keep it for 30 years, but just to be safe, maybe repeat the process 2 or 3 times, and then it will kill any living organisms that would have been in this, and then you can easily store your rice or your pasta or whatever the case might be for that period of say 30 years if you are doing long-term storage. Okay, the other option is you can buy oxygen absorbers. So then you would do the whole process, cleaning the bottle and so forth, and then you would just throw in an oxygen absorber as well, but please make sure it's something that you can use with food, not silicone packets or anything like that, because it's just a very bad idea. But get proper oxygen absorbers, throw them inside, seal the bottle as well properly, and also then make sure it's airtight and you can store it in that sense. Then you don't have to do the whole thawing process where you basically freeze this bottle for 3 days. Okay, so with that said, guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope this was informative. If there's anything that you guys would like to add, just throw it in the comments. And if there's anything that you guys would like me to do a video on, I will do my fair share of research and I'll get back to you guys with another video. Thank you. Have a lovely day.